Hi everybody, I am John. I'm one of the interpreters or educators here at the Museum of York County, and for today's Wild Wonders video we are going to take a tour of our solar system. We are going to begin with its namesake, the Sun. The Sun here is where the solar system gets its name. Solar does refer to the Sun. While it is very large as far as our planets are concerned, it's actually average for a star. There are plenty of stars that are smaller. There are also plenty that are larger. Many stars are similar in size, but the supergiants and even larger hypergiants dwarf our Sun. As an example, the red supergiant Betelgeuse is about 950 times the size of our Sun. And now we will move on to the first planet from our Sun, Mercury. Mercury, like I said, is the closest planet to our Sun. It is also the smallest planet in the solar system. It orbits the Sun in about 88 days. So if we lived on Mercury, you'd have a birthday about 4 times as often. Sounds pretty fun for the kids, but it and you would get old quickly. Mercury has no moons and no thick atmosphere to hold in the heat from the Sun. Which brings us to our next planet, Venus. Venus is the second planet from the Sun and the hottest in our solar system. This is due to the thick clouds surrounding its atmosphere, or that make up its atmosphere, that keep that heat trapped in from the Sun. Matter of fact, it gets so hot on this planet that the rocks will glow a dull red. So, one of the only 2 planets in the solar system that turns on its axis in a clockwise motion. Venus turns on its axis once every 243 days, while it takes only 224 days to orbit the Sun. Like Mercury, and unlike our next planet, which you should be very familiar with, this planet has no moons. Third planet from the Sun, of course, is our home, Earth. It's the only planet in our solar system which is known to have life. It is full of water, got the right gases for us humans to breathe. And furthermore, it's in what we call the habitable zone of our solar system, also known as the Goldilocks zone, because it is not too hot from being too close to the Sun, it is not too cold from being too far out, it is just right. I mentioned the water. Planets in a star's habitable zone are most likely to have liquid water, which of course we cannot live without. And our next planet has stoked the imaginations of writers and other creatives for centuries. Mars here is the 4th planet from the Sun, and though it is roughly half the size of Earth, it has double the moons. Mars has 2 moons named Phobos and Deimos. That comes from Greek mythology, means fear and panic. Mars is known as the red planet because of the rusty rocks and dust that are covering this planet. And people have been writing about visiting Mars and the aliens that some say inhabit it, not true, for a very long time. The exciting is NASA plans to launch its first manned missions to Mars by the 2030s. Not too much longer to wait. And now we're going to move past the asteroid belt to our next planet, the largest in our solar system, Jupiter. Jupiter is one of the gas giants. This means it's a planet that's made almost entirely of gases, just with a large rocky core at the very center. Jupiter is best known for the Great Red Spot, essentially a hurricane that's been running on this planet for at least 150 years, and probably a lot longer than that. And Jupiter also has the 2nd most moons in our solar system. As of 2023, Jupiter's got 95 moons. Impressive, but not quite as impressive as our next planet. Next up, we have Saturn, the 6th planet from the Sun in our solar system. Saturn, like I said, has even more moons than Jupiter. Jupiter may have 95, but as of 2023, again, Saturn has 146 moons. Confirmed. Most people know Saturn for those big, beautiful rings. And they are very pretty, but even more interesting to me is one of those moons I mentioned, Enceladus, which is an ice moon that has geysers of water and gas coming out of the poles, the North and South Pole. And in those geysers, we have found all the necessary ingredients for life as we know it, including phosphorus, which we don't find a lot in the solar system. Back to the rings. While Saturn's rings are the biggest and most prominent of any planet in our solar system, made up of lots of little bits of rocks, ice, and dust, this is not the only planet in our solar system with rings. All the gas giants have them, including our next planet. And now we'll continue on with Uranus, the next planet up, another one of those gas giants. Like Venus, Uranus spins clockwise, and we believe this is because a huge object hit it early on in its life. This is also why Uranus appears tilted on its side. Uranus is made out of an interesting combination of gases, including lots of methane. This is why I always pronounce this planet as Uranus instead of Uranus, because the entire room cracks up when you hear the phrase, Uranus is full of methane gas. Uranus and our next and final planet are made out of similar types of gases, and that is why they are sometimes called the twin planets. And finally, we come to the furthest out planet in our solar system, Neptune. Back when I was a kid, Pluto was a planet as well, but we have since changed or demoted Pluto to the status of dwarf planet. Now, here's an interesting thing. Planets are not considered dwarf planets because of their size, it's because of their gravity. Basically, to be a planet, a body in space has to orbit a star, it has to have enough gravity to have formed a spherical shape, and it has to have not enough gravity to have swept its sector of space clean of similarly sized objects. So because Pluto has similarly sized objects around it, that's why we call it a dwarf planet. It's not the size, it's the gravity. Back to Neptune here. This is the only planet in our solar system that is not visible to the naked eye and was discovered in the year 1846. In 2011, it completed its first orbit around the sun since its discovery. I'll save you the math. That makes one Neptune year 165 Earth years. If you guys would like to learn more about space, please come out to our Out of This World Family Day on October 5th. That's all we've got for you today, so until next time, get out there and explore your Carolina world, or in this case, worlds.